Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. Hi. I'm so excited for this conversation today because I am sitting down with my friend and my soon-to-be co-facilitation partner, Lindsay Johnson. And we are talking all about yoga, both of our journeys, and how it's led us to co-create this incredible somatic yoga and embodied energy teacher training that we are offering in January of 2026. So if you're in Calgary, be sure to check out the Yoga Passage, because that is where we will be offering this 100-hour yoga teacher training. After more than 25 years of practice now and over 20 years of teaching, my own journey with yoga has kind of moved in a different direction. And I have a really honest conversation today about the struggles that I've had with the Ashtanga yoga sequence and series, and not even just the sequencing in the series. I mean, that's one thing, that's fine. But the dogma and feeling actually quite traumatized by the indoctrination and the way that it was taught to me with a very sort of, good, bad, right, wrong, very dualistic, very structured, very much centered on, becoming something other than I am, or needing to be better than what I was. And we're also going to talk about Lindsay's journey through her own yoga practice and training. She's also been practicing for 20 years and studying deeply somatics, which really aligns with the coaching that I've been doing, the embodiment and somatic coaching, as well as the subtle energy work that I've been trained in and facilitating as well. And so this beautiful project that we have co-created isn't just another training. It's going to be more of an initiation and a supplement to what you already know as a yoga practitioner and as someone who's probably already done a yoga teacher training. It's really for people who are interested in going deeper into understanding yoga and your body and how your body moves and feels in the tissues in an embodied way. It's really about nervous system literacy, trauma sensitivity, embodied leadership, learning to teach from a felt sense and from an embodied presence, and really understanding how your body isn't the only thing in the room, how there's a field of energy both within the body but outside of the body, and how, as a yoga teacher, understanding the energetics of your students and of bodies is so helpful in informing the way that you work with students and the ways that you instruct them and even come into their energetic field as a teacher. So Lindsay brings her over 2 decades of somatic healing, trauma-informed facilitation, and movement-based therapy. And she is really a pioneer in helping people return to their bodies using the tools of yoga and combining them with somatics, using this language that is very much choice-based, really leading with sovereignty and the autonomy of the student, and also taking out any sense of competitiveness within the class, really focusing on collective healing and community rather than competition. And so for those of you who may not know I think most of you do, though, about my subtle energy work with spinal energetics using the breath and breath work, as well as the chakras and the entire subtle energy system that gets mapped out through yoga, through the koshas and the nadis and the inner architecture of our spine and the kundalini energy that's used for awakening. I mean, we're bridging these two worlds and bringing them together in this really, really special way where soul meets science, somatics and energetics and trauma literacy, as well as ancient yogic wisdom together in a beautiful little package. And I cannot wait to share this with you because I think it will give you some insight into how, if your Ashtanga yoga practice or your very structured practice is no longer serving you or sitting with your body in the way that it used to. I just had a coaching call with a client a couple days back, and she just said, I just can't do it. I keep getting on my mat every morning and my body just says no. And so if that's your story, this is going to be a conversation that you will love because it is layered and it's also really revealing how both of us arrived here in this space as practitioners, as teachers, as mothers, as humans, remembering how to trust our bodies again and how to listen to the wisdom that's held within. So if you are a yoga teacher, a healer, or a coach, and you want to go deeper into your own understanding with us, and you live near Calgary, Canada, this training's offered in person right now, but we are looking at an online option. But right now it is in Calgary. So I encourage you to check out the Yoga Passage. We'll be starting there in January. And if you're just interested in what it is I'm talking about and how somatic yoga and embodied energetics is different than what you've been doing, this conversation might spark something inside you and will give you a taste for something a little bit different. So let's dive right in. Hi, and welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. I am here today with, not Russell, if you're watching this on video. This is my dear friend, Lindsay Johnson, and we're going to have a chat today. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. I'm so excited about this conversation because I'm going to tell them a little bit about how we met. I met you, I don't know, a little while back, maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
At the Yoga Passage in Calgary, right here in the city. And it was a really beautiful experience coming into your class because I have this hang up around yoga in that I feel like, especially at that time, I was like, I don't want to practice Ashtanga yoga. Every time I feel like I was practicing this very traditional sequence at that time, I felt like I was being traumatized. It felt like everything in my body was saying no. I just didn't have the energy for it. I would do like sun salutations and be like, okay, that's enough. And I just felt like I really needed some support in getting back into a practice. And so when I came to your class, it was amazing because I was totally unexpected and it was very different than any other yoga class I had ever taken. It was much more about introspection and feeling the feelings, and just like your language in the class was amazing. It was so aligned with everything that I had been studying and integrating myself and learning myself about when it comes to coaching and somatic embodiment and how to guide clients in a trauma-informed way and help them really meet themselves and all their parts and love and acceptance and self-compassion. And so the language was so beautiful. And I was just like, oh my gosh, here's someone who's taking all of this wisdom and all of this intelligence and knowledge and very cutting edge approach to healing and integration and embodiment and weaving it into kind of a vinyasa style yoga class.
Yeah.
And then we did some like shaking, which I was like, this is crazy. And then after that, we hugged ourselves and this song came on and I just started crying. Or I wanted to cry. I don't know if I started crying at that point, but then we went into pigeon and then for sure the floodgates were open there. And I was just like, oh my gosh, my body is holding on to so much. And so I really have to thank you for getting me back into my body in this way and sort of weaving these practices together in a really beautiful way. And I want to introduce you to everyone listening here today because not only do you have an incredible story with a lot of background in yoga and somatics, but also we're going to do a training together in January, which I'm super excited about.
Me too. So excited. So excited.
So first off, how did your journey with yoga start?
My journey with yoga started way, way back, 2005 in Yoga Passage. Funny enough, I did, like when I saw you just a little while back, I was like, oh, wow, I remember her. But I don't even think we ever really met. I think we just sort of crossed paths very loosely and was feeling so nervous to have you in my class. So it was really great. But yeah, my first teacher training was at Yoga Passage in 2005. And throughout the years, I just was really trying to find my place in yoga, in the community. I knew that I loved it. It was my first physical practice pretty much of anything since I was a little kid, as I had some medical trauma as like a toddler.
Yeah.
So I never took PE during school. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of these types of things because of what was wrong. And so yoga was the first thing I ever did. I had a boyfriend back in the day that brought me to Yoga Passage. I tried a class and I remember he broke up with me at a bus station and I said, I'm keeping the yoga studio. And I stood very true to that and I kept the studio and just different trainings. I trained with Shiva Ray and then, teaching more vinyasa types of classes or Ashtanga and then going through Baptiste training. I was always teaching these very linear and practicing these very linear styles of yoga. And I think a lot of it had to do as I was really searching for discipline, thinking that that's what I really needed when I think freedom and expression was actually what I really needed.
Yeah.
And to get back in touch with my body because I had been really disconnected to it my whole life. And just going through the motions of life landed me. I had my own studio for a while, which closed after COVID. And I went through major life changes in 2020 and brought me back to Calgary, which landed me back at Passage. And truthfully, one Saturday morning, I was teaching my regular power style vinyasa and I could just feel the tension and I could feel the charge. And I'm starting to understand this like sympathetic energy. And I just kind of stopped what I was doing and I just put on this one song that I love to shake to. And I just guided them through this shake. And it was like everything changed in that moment. And it was just like a really quick decision. And I was so nervous just to stand there and be vulnerable in that way and share something that people don't typically do in a yoga practice. And it was so well received that it never left. And it just took on a format of its own. And since then, I've just been digging more and more into somatics and building my own practice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. I actually introduced that. We did that, I forget where I was, in one of my workshops recently.
Yeah.
We were doing more like somatic yoga and some energy embodiment and like feeling into your own breath and the energy. And then at some point we did the shaking. Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so fun. I love it.
It just cuts tension. It releases something. It changes the energy really beautifully. And yeah, it was so funny just to have you in class. And I'm in the background of my mind, I'm like, oh, these like more traditional teachers, like, is it going to be received okay? And just kind of watch your whole energy just shift. I was like, oh, I'm on to something here. Like, I think we need to shake a little more.
Yeah, I think we need to shake more.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm also like a reformed traditional teacher. I don't know.
Right? Had I known.
I'm like a quiet quitter, in the background.
Yeah. And you just never know, right? You put yourself out there and you're like, okay, we're going to do things a little different today. And yeah, it's really shifted something in class. And now I think there's maybe only one class a week that I teach where I don't throw in a big shake. And that's really because they have to go back to work. So I try to be mindful.
Yeah, no one will want to go back to work after.
Yeah, it's like kind of bring out the emotions sometimes and the heat. So
yeah. You speak to something that like we often talk about on this podcast, which is like the evolution of practice. And so I'm curious, you talked about your training with Shiva Ray and with Baron Baptiste and like needing this discipline or wanting discipline, seeking discipline. And I feel like, Russell and I have often talked about this also with Ashtanga yoga. It's very disciplined, very structured. Even the times that you practice is very disciplined, very structured. Your diet starts to get very disciplined, very structured. Everything's like quite masculine and being held in this very masculine container, which isn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe that's something like this is my question, that you needed at that time. Because I know for me, I felt like it really helped to create that kind of direction and focus and discipline in my life and gave me a lot of, I don't know, confidence or direction to grow.
Absolutely. I think the discipline for me, it was the first thing I'd ever done that was actually really like a structured something.
Yeah.
And now looking back, understanding how my nervous system was operating and never quite feeling safe in my body, I think it really allowed me to anchor and feel safe. I knew it was coming. I didn't know at the time, but I was actually a very hypervigilant person for a really long time. So it gave me this felt sense of safety until it didn't, until I felt safe enough to realize that that's actually not what my soul wanted. But it taught me how to be a great teacher, how to cue, how to connect to people. I think when you are moving and teaching more somatically, there's a lot of freedom. And when you start teaching, that can be really tricky. It can be really challenging. Right?
Yeah.
So having something to teach from can give you the structure to become a really, really great teacher, and then anchoring into what it is that you're really here to express or share.
I think what you said too really lands for me is having that, I think especially we come to yoga often and we're processing maybe transition or trauma or past childhood disorganized families and different things going on,
All the
right?
things.
Yeah, all the things. And we often talk about even like the Ashtanga yoga community in Mysore when we went there back in the early 2000s was like sort of going to adult children of alcoholics,
like Al-Anon?
Al-Anon.
Yeah.
But not like Alcoholics Anonymous, but like the children of the alcoholics.
Yes.
And yeah, it was like that. So there's a lot of trauma to process there around things that happen when you're growing up and really wanting like a father figure to hold that space, to show up for you day in and day out and to be a positive example rather than a
Yes.
maybe not so positive example. Yeah. And like you said, like it helps the nervous system to know what to expect, to have that routine, to have that structure.
Yeah.
To be able to relax into the safety of that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think everything has its place and has its purpose.
Yeah.
And for me, it was really the first experience of ever actually being in my body. And then through yoga, but always feeling like I'm still always so in my head, like thinking about it, like disciplined thought, right?
Yes.
Whether it was like breath work or meditation, it always felt very forced for me.
Yes.
And I started feeling myself pulling away from my practice, and I just didn't really want to practice anymore. I kind of felt like I was falling out of love with it.
Yeah.
And then raising my children, was teaching here and there, but not consistently.
Yeah.
So when I had opportunities to start relearning and getting back into it, that's when I went and did my Baptiste training, another structured training. But I mean, an amazing, incredible experience in terms of how to teach and really allow yourself to be seen. So I have nothing but like respect for all of the experiences and lineages that I've had the opportunity to learn about, but it always felt like something was missing. Yeah. And it always felt like I was always kind of resisting myself almost by strictly being disciplined, it was like there was like a part of me that was like the rebel.
Yeah, yeah. And so like your journey is so similar to my own in that at a certain point it like that rebel part, the part that was like always kind of there, but like, being told to sit in the corner, started to be like, I don't want to be in the corner anymore.
Yeah, it was like I was making myself wrong for wanting these things or going against the grain of things. And I started realizing that just because you want to experience something different doesn't make you wrong, and it doesn't make it bad or not respectful, right? That you can still really honor the roots and lineages of something and know that there could be room for more.
Yeah.
And we're in a totally different world now. And we're really disconnected from ourselves and from other people. And somatics is that coming home.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
I think that's the thing that often we come up against when we're looking at kind of combining the new, like newer or like more Western kind of approaches with somatics or, transpersonal psychology or like all of these different approaches about embodiment that really are more from, I would say, a westernized lineage.
Yes.
And then combining it with practices that are quite ancient or somewhat ancient.
Yeah.
I mean, it's debatable how ancient some of these things are, but, practices like yoga from the East that have a very traditional indigenous lineage.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels maybe like, how can we honor both together? But I mean, I do think also that we are in this different time and, it's a living tradition. And so as we evolve as humans, and it's something that humans have always had access to, right? Like we have a body. So for as long as humans have been human and embodied, we've been doing things like stretching and embodiment and shaking and
drumming, yelling, spiraling, right? They're all very primal
dancing,
in nature.
like all of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not new.
It's not new, and it's like bridging, which can feel like a really new experience for people to be given permission to move without being told what to do.
Yeah, and that's sort of the interesting thing with the yoga, I find, is my instinct is that yoga at one point in time and history, maybe not in our remembered time in history, was much more spontaneous. And then we created a system or a structure or like told our bodies what to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there is something that makes sense to that for all the reasons that we talked about, safety and predictability and having a system so that you don't miss anything.
Yeah.
And also it's easier to teach.
Yes, absolutely.
But there's something kind of beautiful about once you learn the structure and the system to come back into that more like indigenous self and trust your body, trust your energy, trust your breath.
Yeah.
And learn to listen to it.
There's nothing more present than being in your sensation.
Yeah.
Because your sensation is the presence. When you're in a room and on your mat, nothing exists outside of it except for you and your mat, your body, and your breath. So when you're able to tap into sensation and lean in and really feel and experience, you're totally in the moment. There's nowhere else you could be. Whereas sometimes I feel like when we're moving through things linear or when we know what's going to come next, our thoughts are somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we're in the rest of our day. Our
Totally.
to-do list, we're like in Superstore up here.
Yeah.
On the yoga mat down in here.
Yeah.
And that's why I love it so much, is because it's helped me really anchor as someone who lived so much of my life up here. It really brought me into here. It made me realize that even though I understood what emotions were, I didn't know how to feel them and I didn't know how to express them.
Yeah.
And then you bridge that with just being in the physical body and you put the two together and it's just this like, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably my favorite thing.
It is my favorite thing. Yeah, because it really like, this is something Russell says to me. He's like, don't do yoga. Just go do active spinal. You need to like rebrand it in your mind.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Because it's exactly that I think also the energy work, like the embodied energy work, like spinal energetics, or, I'm doing this genius frequency now, which is also about like learning to feel into the movement of your own energy and using the breath to notice how that affects different elements in your body, different movement of energy in your body. And so it's really this beautiful marriage between breath, body, and energy that's happening. And as you say, like it drops you immediately. I think this is the thing that happens like when we sit down to meditate and people say, I can't meditate. And it's because we're trying to make our minds not do something.
Yeah.
But really, deep meditation happens when we drop into the awareness of the present moment, which is definitely connected to sensation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's how it always felt like a big fight to me. And I'd just sit there and like, this is so not enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
And then I would shame myself for not being able to sit with myself for even 5 minutes sometimes. It would just feel, and not understanding that I had so much pent up, undigested emotional experiences inside of me. And I didn't have a safe space for them to move and be. And I had to teach my nervous system not just how to regulate itself, but how to build enough resilience that I felt safe enough to let the energy start to move.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I think this is something that a lot of people experience, especially people that I've spoken to in the Ashtanga yoga community that are very much action oriented. And so can you speak a little bit to like, where do you think that disconnect happens? Because it's so interesting and a little bit strange to me that this happens, but that like we're in our body because we're using our body, but we're not embodied.
I've started to kind of explain it like, let your practice be less about doing and more about feeling and allowing. Because I do feel like because our society has such like addiction to dopamine, so that also includes action, hustle, right? We've tied and connected so much of our worthiness to what we do.
Yeah.
And so then we chase the postures, right? Well, I'm not good enough if I can't stand on my head or on my hands. And so then when you start to strip that away and you realize that you are already whole and worthy, and the goal is just stripping away what's in the way of that, that's when you start to become more embodied. You're more willing to meet yourself where you are. You start to drop the resistance. You start to unbrace and unclench because we're always trying to chase our worthiness and prove to ourselves and prove to others I'm worthy to be here.
Yeah.
When we're already worthy, whole, complete, all the things.
Yeah. And it's so tricky, especially if, like, I think for a lot of us, that's a deep core wound.
Yeah.
It's
the deepest of wounds.
Like, really needing to prove our worth. And if you don't think you have it, just wait. Because it shows up when you start to lose things that you feel like should be accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it could be so simple. It could be an injury, or it could just be, it could be for no fault of your own. But like maybe you can't twist the way that you used to, or maybe you can't touch the floor like you used to. Or
in my mid-40s, I cannot touch the floor the way that I used to in my 20s. But I have this beautiful experience within my body now that I'm fully accepting of what it can offer me and what it can't sometimes. And it's okay either way. When you can drop that resistance, that's where the magic happens, right? That's where we start that process of coming home. And that's what I love. I think yoga is a practice of coming home, absolutely. But I feel like somatics can just get you there in a way that chasing shapes can't.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Totally. And there's so much like judgment and criticism often tied up in the chasing of shapes, in that, okay, I'm doing it, so I'm good enough. Yeah. And I won't be criticized, and it's good enough. Yeah. And
we
not
reach that
judged.
thing, and then nothing changes. Yeah. And then we just find another thing to chase.
Exactly.
And another thing to chase.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I found myself doing. And with somebody that has, physical limitations, like that does not work well,
Yeah.
That eventually
hard.
takes a toll and your body shuts itself down. And when you're having these nervous system experiences highs and lows all the time, chasing. And then eventually your body says, nah.
Yeah. And it's a sneaky pattern, I think, because sometimes we're chasing without knowing that we're chasing.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe all the time.
All the time. And then you stop and your body doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then that's a whole new experience.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't feel safe to relax.
That's exactly it, right? So it's not always just about, am I safe enough to feel these big emotions? Am I safe enough to receive? Am I safe enough to sit with myself for 5 breaths, 10 breaths, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I love that, like when we're in class and then we're just doing like a really slow, like movement of the knees back and forth and just like seeing what kind of emotional and somatic response is there. Because if you are kind of addicted to achievement and doing and hustle and like, or your nervous system, you come into class and your nervous system is really like in that sympathetic fight or flight response. You come in and that feels so irritating.
Oh, yeah. Frustrating.
Yeah, you're like,
but what am I achieving?
Yeah, right? And you're like, anyone can do this.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also the beauty of it.
I know. There's so much like duality happening within these practices. And I can feel it, for one, when I have students that have maybe never done that type of movement before and there's so much resistance. But when you see something sort of like soften for a moment, and when you can actually soften into the experience of your body and you can feel, what's anchoring you into the floor, and you go, oh my gosh, I don't know the last time I felt held and supported like this in my body. Oh. And then all of a sudden all you're doing is knees side to side. And yet it feels like you're being loved and cared for in a way that you haven't experienced for some people their whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
It is.
And to take the practice or like this movement or this posture, this, somatic practice out of being able to put yourself into a hierarchy of like, oh, I can do it better than that person beside me, but I'm not quite as good as that other person on my other side. It's like everyone can do that. There's not really like a better than or a less than or like there's just your experience of it. Yeah. That's it.
And then you begin co-regulating with the people around you, and then you feel less separate and you feel more connected. Yeah. And you start to understand that even though we're having different experiences in life, we're so much more connected than we even understand. And how much we can start to trust through even just rolling around on the floor with somebody beside you, or even like hitting the mat, like doing things like that. Like you see it in some people, especially for women, because we've been taught since we were so small to take our anger and, quiet it. Right? Or our expression and our voice and keep it small. And so when you have the opportunity for that to express out through your hands or stomp it through your feet or move it through your mouth, it's so powerful. Yeah. It's like giving yourself permission to just be for a moment and to allow yourself the full spectrum of your emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right? Yeah, it is so powerful. Yeah. I love that.
And who doesn't love to hit stuff sometimes?
Yeah. I know. Right? Yeah, it's so good. It's such a release. People love it. And I love it. I think it's like what we need right now.
Yeah, I really believe that coming out of, when we've had challenging maybe upbringings or hard relationships where we have that anger that's suppressed, right? And it's on the brink of rage and we have nowhere to put it and we're putting it in all the wrong places. And it just gives you somewhere safe to land and turn the music up and be in your body and just get it out.
Yeah. Or we try and escape from it too, right? With all kinds of different things like, substances or shopping or all the different things that, we're trying to like make ourselves feel better so we don't have to actually feel the thing that we don't want to feel.
Yeah. So then that's when we run it out in a yoga class. Who knew?
Yeah, it's a similar process, right? Or like going for a run. Okay, I'm just going to exhaust my body to the point that it doesn't have enough energy to feel the thing I don't want to feel. And that's another way that we escape from actually feeling things.
Huge. We're like, when I started realizing just how much I was avoiding, numbing, escaping, and just not sitting with, It was like I had taken so many parts of me and rejected them and exiled them.
Yeah.
And somatics has taught me to take those inner parts and call them back and love them.
No, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like just like feeling tired, I think that's the thing. Also, we don't let ourselves feel like, I feel so tired. And even in like saying that, we're kind of like judging ourselves for feeling tired.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Okay, so like let's take a nap. Let's rest.
Yeah, or just like feel really tired. Just let yourself feel that.
Exactly.
And see what happens.
The same as with overwhelm.
Yeah.
The easiest way to deal with those feelings of overwhelm is to let yourself feel overwhelmed for just a few minutes, just to sit with it. But that can feel so scary because of what we make it mean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
When really your body is just real tired and just needs a rest.
Yeah, or it's trying to think of too many things at the same time.
Yeah.
Or
it's all the ego, all the subconscious layers, the story behind it, right? And we can get so attached to the story of it when really if we can just kind of get to know our internal programming and understand that it's just a belief, it's not actually truth.
Yeah.
And the truth is under, but we have to clear that energy. And that's what everybody seems to want to avoid is the feeling of the emotion and the energy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And that's, I think, what's so powerful about combining these two approaches and bringing them into a single unified kind of approach to yoga. Because it's like bringing in the somatics, this like all of that intentionality and intelligence and wisdom that you get from somatic coaching and like feeling the energy and clearing the energy, the embodied energetics, like being with the energy, letting it express through the body, the emotion, like the emotional intelligence of being with the emotions and letting them express in however you're feeling them in your body.
Yeah.
With some of the movement, because movement, energy or emotion is expressed through sound and movement.
Yeah.
And so this energy gets like so stuck in our body, like you're saying, the emotion gets stuck in our body, the energy gets stuck in our body, and we need to shift it and clear it. And I think the feeling part is really, really important.
Huge. It's the most important. And I think like you can probably relate to this too, like, back in the day when we're first kind of learning, like as a yoga teacher, we get taught, well, you store everything in your hips and you kind of like share that, but you don't really kind of know what you're talking about. Yeah. And you just sort of share, well, like all your emotions you store in the hips. And then once you actually start understanding emotions, energy, and your nervous system. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I
There's
got
so
that
much
one,
emotion in there.
Yeah, I got that one early on because when I first started practicing yoga, I was living with a guy. We had been together for 3 years and we broke up, like maybe a couple years after I'd been practicing. And then I went into a Mysore class, into a workshop that was being taught by another teacher. And I was in Baddha Konasana, and I always had quite open hips in, like butterfly pose or cobbler's pose. And I went in and my hips were like up here, like my legs were up here. My thighs were like super stuck. I couldn't go forward. And I was like, what's going on? And I thought, this is so weird. Like hips don't all of a sudden freeze up overnight.
Yeah.
That's weird. And then the teacher came over and pushed my legs down and like pushed laid on my spine so my body would go forward.
Yeah.
And I just like, floodgates. I just started sobbing. And it wasn't a physical pain. Yeah. It was completely emotional.
Yeah. And it feels like almost uncontrollable. Like it's just right on this. I had that experience last night. I taught 2 somatic classes back to back. And as a teacher, we want to keep it together at some degree. However, with my particular like Soma movement practice, I do the practice with them. Yeah. And so doing that 2 hours, by the end, I was trying to bring the students out of class and I just couldn't, like, I was so full of gratitude and I haven't been able to fully connect to gratitude in that spectrum in a very, very long time. And, I thought, oh my God, I got to get it together so I can close this practice. But it was like the way that they were looking at me and I was looking at them, and it was just like hand on heart, like, it's all good. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show up and be seen even when you're leading a practice.
So nice.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. That was a lot of heart openers, I think.
I love that. I need to get back to Thursday night
Yes.
yoga. So let's talk a little bit about our training that's coming up, because I'm super excited about this. It's going to be the first time that I've actually really been teaching something like this for a while. I haven't taught a teacher training for, I don't know, since I left Victoria, which was 10 years ago almost.
Perfect, because this is my first, other than leading an immersion and workshops, this is my first training. And I mean, honestly, when I think about it, I'm like, how fitting, like how incredible is this going to be?
Yeah.
Like to take the things that's the stuff about yoga that really lights me up, is energy, subtle body, somatics.
Me too. And it's something that I've been thinking about doing for a long time, but I felt like the collaboration is so powerful because you can bring all of the physical, like somatic yoga teaching, and I really want to bring like this deep understanding of the nervous system. I mean, obviously that's in the somatic yoga as well, but like in the energy body, the elements, the chakras, and like the field of energy, because I think that that's something we don't really get taught in yoga, is like we focus so much on the body and the physicality. But what is your body? Your body's just the densest part of your energetic field.
Yeah.
And the energy goes in the body, which is, you know, where our embodiment is and our introception. But then it also comes out of the body, which is our proprioception.
Yeah.
You know, and our field and our sensing around us.
Yeah.
And so as a teacher, I mean, first as a practitioner, I think it's really powerful to start to become aware of that.
Yeah.
But then as a teacher, how do you interact with students and like notice these things also? Like you're saying, you know, that shift, that subtle shift in energy that a student has, or even when you enter a student's energetic field, how are you doing that?
Yeah.
And it's very different than when you just see them as a physical body. If you see them as an energy being,
yes,
the way you interact with someone is quite different.
Yeah. And I think it's going to teach teachers how to sense, is this my energy? Is this their energy? Because that can show up. And when you're not aware of it, that can really mess with your mind. And when that happens, then your own limiting beliefs and stories get really loud. And a great teacher will have the ability to be able to differentiate between, oh, this is mine, or this is mirroring, or I'm just sensing something in the space.
Totally.
And then how you can actually use that to lead and cue from and speak from. And then you're in the moment, you're in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Can you talk a little bit about like the language component? Because I think that's something that's so different with the somatic yoga. And when we're talking about, you know, leading and facilitating, how is it, like, how would you describe it to be different than like your traditional kind of like vinyasa type class?
Well, I mean, I'll always be a huge advocate for good, solid alignment cueing, things like that. But for somatic cueing, I think it really just comes down to the feeling and sensation, and how to guide practitioners into their bodies safely. So giving options, because our nervous system spectrums and capacities are so different from one another. So, you know, a simple reclined butterfly pose might bring out all the emotion in one person and nothing in another. Yeah. So teaching that levels of safety, you know, and how you can, if something is too deep or too much, how you can anchor back and you can find, you know, like I believe Peter Levine, he talks about islands of safety in your body. So it's really like finding neutral spaces and then guiding back into the sensation. So kind of working through pendulation in a yoga posture. Yeah. And it's very optional. And it's really using curiosity and also playfulness to it, right? Allowing for this sense of let yourself be and meet yourself where you are, right? With love and curiosity, and see what's available, because we can get so stuck in our mind space. Yeah. And it's a little different too. Like it's not like 5 breaths this side or 5 breaths that side. Sometimes I don't even start right side and then left side. It really just depends on the experience and the energy that I'm trying to create in the space.
Yeah.
Which can sometimes for the A-type yogis be a little bit hard.
Yeah. Not doing things on two sides is challenging.
Yeah. Or like, like eventually closing it all, but, like not doing it right away or just, maybe not doing the full same exact movements on each side of the body. It can really cause havoc on someone's mind.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I was first learning spinal energetics, that was also a fascinating kind of new awareness that I had, which is we have tension patterns in our body, but one side will often be a space of ease and the other side a place of tension. And so you actually don't need to do things bilaterally, and it's not that effective to always do things bilaterally.
Yeah. I know when I learned this, I'm like, really? Like, and coming from somebody who, like, I'm physically almost lopsided in my body. So this was such a validating experience for me. And to know that I can play on one side, but maybe that's not available on the other side of my body. And so that it's okay. I mean, we all want balance. And I think that's really important. But yeah, just the difference of inviting versus this is what you need to do.
Yeah, I love that idea of inviting and just working with what's accessible as it's accessible rather than forcing.
Yeah.
And I think that's another like beautiful kind of concept that we're going to weave in, obviously, with the trauma-informed, like, giving choices.
Yeah.
Giving students the autonomy or the sovereignty to have the practice be their own. But also sometimes like in more structured traditional yoga approaches and teaching modalities, we tend to have sort of the no pain, no gain kind of mentality. And so we go straight in like for the kill all the time. Like
sit in your discomfort.
Yes, exactly.
My life is already uncomfortable enough. I've learned that I don't actually need to feel discomfort on my yoga mat. And that it actually serves me more to be in a place of ease. Go figure. Again, the chasing the dopamine, right? The action, the masculine, where when we are approaching it from a little bit more of a feminine energy, it's, can I actually learn how to receive? Can I nurture myself in this space? And like, it's unreal, especially when we notice just how much we hold because our nervous system, how it connects like to our root chakra, right? So we have a lot of tension in our glutes and in our pelvic floor. And so bringing awareness, guiding into teaching how to soften those areas. And we don't even realize that we're walking around all day long completely tensed and clenched.
Yeah. And just how much opens up. And this is another like but concept that's really been reinforced doing like the spinal energetics and working with people's energy is if you move from the place of ease, the whole system opens up. The whole body opens up.
Yeah.
If you go into the place of tension or discomfort or fixation, things stay shut, things stay closed because that's the defense.
Yeah.
And so it's like, rather than like, sitting in the discomfort, like finding the ease in the body and then watching your whole body transform and unravel and open up.
Yeah.
It's a totally different approach than I think the way that most yoga classes get taught.
Absolutely. And I think especially nowadays, because nervous system literacy has become really big and you kind of see it everywhere now, we kind of approach it from this, like the way that we're trying to regulate. We sometimes forget that we can't regulate until we feel safe. And we can't feel safe until we understand what ease feels like. So you need to build safety first and then work towards expansion or resilience of your nervous system. So learning how to relax first, which is what I think most people need the most. I've been doing a lot of fascia work lately.
Nice.
And when you're working fascia, like a roller, for example, like awful. They collect dust in the corner because you use them and you just want to cry. Yeah. And so you're like rolling and it feels really forced and you're like, oh, just breathe through the pain. When really like fascia, it wants to soften. And that's the only way it's going to start to release, right? Because we're holding so much of that undigested energy within the fascia that just force isn't actually really going to do much.
Yeah.
Right? Learning how to soften first and then work into it and then build resilience.
Yeah. And I think like this idea also that our nadis, our energy channels, run through the fascia.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when you just go at it like with that kind of force, it's like your body's going to defend against it. Your physical body is your shield of protection. So, of course, it's not going to open up. The energy isn't going to want to flow or move. It's going to want to, like, create more protection. So it's almost, like, counterproductive in a way.
It is. And especially for women, because for women, we do not regulate through dopamine practices. We regulate through oxytocin.
Yeah.
So self-love, touch, gentle ease, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's how we feel safe.
Oh.
Yeah, bring it on. Like, all the love, all the... self-touch, like, you know, be in a yoga pose, massage that space that's holding sensation, or even just a hand there, reassurance, right? So that part of you knows this experience is old and I'm safe now to feel it and just to let it be.
Totally. I think that's such another important point that we often don't, it's not highlighted in, you know, the way that yoga is being practiced or taught or passed down, but it is a very masculine approach to just like sit and be still and like, don't touch me, don't look at me, stay in one spot, you know, strong determination. I'm just going to sit here and be unmoved until enlightenment shows up. And it's like, okay, that's one approach for sure. It's not that it's not valid, but it brings a certain kind of masculine structure container again in this sort of like fierce determination. And there is another way, and then you're speaking to it, which is like, oh, feel in your body, put your hand on your heart and your belly, connect into your breath. Oh, you're feeling sensation here. Like, oh, there's some movement. Okay, feel into the movement. Like doing the feminine balancing act to that masculine approach is powerful and might be something that you connect more to as a practitioner than this sort of masculine approach.
Yeah, I think definitely. And, you know, like, for example, when we are opening a class, typically something like cat-cow, right? Like extension, flexion, getting that little bit of fascia work through the pelvis, kind of exploring the body. But then when you give permission to then, well, let your spine move in any direction.
I love that.
Right? And you can just see how uncomfortable that is for a lot of people because they've never really been given permission to just move and be. And once you get into it, to me, it's like all of a sudden, all my defenses are melting away. All my restriction is melting away. And all I'm left with is me, like this deep part of me, this very embodied divine part of who I am. And it feels so much more real to me in my body. It's what works for me. It's what allows me to feel at home.
Yeah. And you know what I always think about is that the Kundalini energy, you know, we do all this yoga practice, all this intense like masculine practice to awaken Kundalini.
Yeah.
Kundalini isn't masculine. It's a feminine energy. The noun itself is a feminine noun. The Shakti, the Kundalini, is said to be a feminine energy in the body. And that body doesn't move in a way that's like a straight line. It moves like nature. Yeah. And I don't think anything in nature moves in a straight line.
No.
Specifically. Yeah. It moves like this, right? Even the way we walk. Even if we're walking in a straight line, we're not going just like zoop, like a jet plane. We're oscillating side to side, right? Everything is, our DNA is an oscillation. Everything's an oscillation. It's all movement. It's all like this beautiful unraveling and unfolding and soft kind of like...
Yeah, being in flow.
Flow,
like
exactly.
Like real flow. We talk about vinyasa practice, but I don't have enough hands around me to count the amount of times that I've practiced a vinyasa class or taught a vinyasa class from a very masculine structured way. And when vinyasa, the whole idea is in flow, letting your breath be what guides you, not your thoughts. And that's exactly it. There's nothing more somatic than when you allow yourself to tune in and let your breath guide and lead. But we just live in a very masculine structured, energy-wise, a masculine structured world. It's how everything is structures and systems and linear, and the feminine is not linear at all.
No.
And it's wild and expressive, and it's somatics is like a reclamation of all of those pieces, right? Especially for women, the parts of us that we've been, taught to kind of exile away.
Yeah. Or like forced to almost to exist in this structured society that we exist in.
I kind of just, one day I got this real, you can't tell me what to do sort of attitude about my approach to teaching and practicing. And I really started to tune into authenticity in that. And it started to really unfold in magical ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this. So if you're in Calgary and you want to join us, you can come and join us at the end of January. We're going to be at the Yoga Passage, which is very exciting. It's actually the very first teacher training I took also. It was called Yoga in Motion back in, 2000, I think, and has since transformed into the Yoga Passage. But the very first yoga studio I ever took a yoga class in, and same for you. Yeah. So we're going back, and 2 decades later, 2.5 decades later, doing a training for everyone so that they can also, connect in a more, I'm going to say, more feminine way, a more empowered way to their own practice and learn how to teach others, especially if you're already a yoga teacher. Or, I think it's great too for people who, because I get this a lot too, and you said this earlier, like life's already hard. And I think sometimes when our nervous system is already, we're already maxed out, and that can happen very easily these days because we're being stimulated all the time. We have so much stress with different things in life going on, especially in your 40s and 50s.
We're the cycle breakers. So we're the ones going, oh, I think things could maybe be different.
Right. So I think then sometimes those old systems of practice aren't working for you. And what do? So many women I know come to me and they're like, I just can't practice anymore. So I'm running, or now I'm swimming, or now I'm playing tennis, or, doing other things, because that very rigid approach to practice, it doesn't work for your nervous system at that point. And so for me, I feel like this can be a beautiful way to come back into a practice of yoga for yourself in a way that is trauma-informed, that's somatic, that's about embodiment, that's about you making positive choices for yourself, that's about connecting with your energetic field, which is your higher consciousness.
Yes.
And really waking up to the movement of your own innate energy in yourself through breath, body, movement, emotion, all of the energetic, layers.
Yeah. And even just learning and understanding how your nervous system operates and all the different ranges that your nervous system will experience in any day, right? And being able to understand and really lean into, it's like learning that authority again, right? Like our personal responsibility, because our nervous system is our energy, and it radiates and it connects to other people. Big time.
Yeah.
And so just having that education and really understanding that how we show up in the world does actually affect other people, and it affects so many different things. It's all these different moving pieces. Your nervous system will give you so much understanding into all the different facets of who you are.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful. This is going to be so powerful. Oh my gosh. You have to come. Okay. So at the end of January, you can find out all the information at the Yoga Passage. There is an early bird special, I think, on until the end of December.
I believe it's till the end of December.
So you better squeak in there really, really fast if you're in Calgary and you want to join us live in person. If you're not in Calgary, but you're in somewhere close, Alberta, it's every other weekend. So you could come in for the weekend and participate. And it's going to be really, really powerful. So yeah. And maybe we'll offer it online one day. If you request it, we'll offer it. So drop us a note in the comments or in Instagram.
It's the first of many, I think.
Yes. And so tell everyone where they can find you. What are your places?
So I teach out of Yoga Passage. So for live classes, I teach full moon events, workshops, things like that. I do have a little more specific somatic practice called Soma movement. I teach that Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then on Instagram, you can find me on LJ_heels. And then through Facebook sometimes as well. So yeah.
And we'll put all the links in the show notes. So yay. Thank you so much for coming on
Thank you
today.
for having me.
It was so fun.
Much. So fun.
If today's conversation stirred something in you, a curiosity or a little pull of your heart to explore what embodied energetics and somatic yoga might hold for you, then I'd encourage you to follow the link in the bio and check out the 100-hour teacher training that Lindsay and I are co-facilitating together at the Yoga Passage. We start at the end of January, and this is going to be an incredible journey together. We would love for you to come and be a part of this first founding cohort and drop us a comment if you want us to come up with an online option so that we can go into this deeply transformative work and help you learn how to guide others through somatic, energetic, and holding space in a trauma-sensitive way to really not just deepen your own journey and practice, but to help facilitate this transformation for others. We would love to hear if you feel inspired and excited by this option, and that might encourage us to go online with it as well. But for now, if you're in person, you're close to Calgary or in Calgary, come join us at the Yoga Passage. It's 6 weeks. We would love to have you there. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.